What's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer, and welcome to your daily silver stacking video. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a heavy video. I like being transparent. If the silver markets aren't always rainbows and unicorns, I'm not going to portray it that way. The truth is, and this goes with any type of investment, not even just investment, anywhere there's money involved with the centralized system, there's going to be corrupt, shady people behind the scenes. That's just plain and simple. Even with decentralized types of assets like Bitcoin, I mean, there's everywhere, there's going to be good and bad, right? And it's not even just with money, with everything in life. Yin and yang. So this does translate and trickle into the silver stacking world. We can either kick and scream and cry, or we can adjust and adapt and actually use it to our advantage. This video is going to talk about that. In a second, I'm about to show you a piece of an interview that I did with Investing with TJ. He's a genius. He's extremely smart. He knows what he's talking about. He's becoming a chartered financial analyst. He's the numbers guy. He knows the ins, the outs, everything with the technicals, the analysis. He knows about it. So I asked him in this interview, which I posted the full-length interview on my channel a couple days ago. Highly recommend you check that out. And he's actually posting my interview that he did with me tomorrow. Highly recommend you check that out. Actually, it's dropping today. But regardless, I asked him about spoofing. Now, if you don't know what spoofing is, it's when banks like JP Morgan go on an exchange and place a whole bunch of buy orders or sell orders with the intent of canceling the order before it goes through. Now, there's a tricky gray area with this because you're allowed to cancel orders, but not with ill intent. See, they never planned for that order to actually go through. So what they do is use up a whole bunch of volume on that exchange, manipulating or putting this false market perspective to the other investors on the exchange, and basically just adjusting the price to their liking, making them lots of money. Now, JP Morgan, 3 of their employees got sent to prison last year for this. It's highly illegal, and finally judges are starting to crack down on this. I've been covering, JP Morgan is just the mascot. Merrill Lynch, the Dutch bank, also got caught. But it's more than just those these 3 banks. And when we're looking at the reality, this has been going on for a while. They're looking back 5 decades into JP Morgan's case. They've had to pay billions of dollars in fines. And I'm sure that that's just the tip of the iceberg with the amount of people that got caught and banks. So when I'm looking at silver price manipulation or rigging the price, because that's essentially what this is, I'm curious how much of an effect this has on silver's price. Because if I was to tell someone, silver price is manipulated, that could potentially push them away from investing. They're like, well, the price is rigged. How am I going to win in a market where the price is rigged, right? That's like saying the NBA's rigged. Are you really going to feel confident in betting? Well, not necessarily true with silver, because like TJ's about to say, there's so many other factors that influence the price, and some greater than others. And I'm not going to speak too much of his answer, because I want him to say it for himself, but he explains this very interestingly, and it makes sense. I've been covering spoofing videos. I've been making spoofing videos. I've been throwing my own 2 cents about spoofing videos, and he does make a lot of sense in his statement, and I really think that you all will benefit from hearing what he has to say. So let's jump into that clip. So you're a numbers guy, right? You know about stocks. You know about spoofing, right? You're aware of spoofing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, and this is probably the most confusing but I guess main question I've really been wanting to ask or to know about is, do you think spoofing has affected the silver market, and to what degree?
I think spoofing and in general, I think spoofing is more of it affects the market, but it affects the market in shorter time intervals.
Okay.
So if you expand and you zoom out, um, you would take a look at the price of silver and based on and I'm also a fundamentals guy, so I know a lot of people may say, well, I'm more of a technical analyst or analyst, or I'm a fundamental analyst. I would probably lean more towards fundamentals, but I like to use technical analysis a lot. But generally there are uh, certain metrics that are more heavily tied to the performance of silver than
Oh
others.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So if with these different uh, whether it's spoofing or anything else, the question is yes, it does have an impact on the price of silver. However, is that impact stronger than other
Then
metrics of
yeah.
silver?
And
So, in my
yeah.
view, I would say I would think the dollar or real interest rates or the price of gold, for example, has a stronger relationship than
Yeah.
someone spoofing. Um, Now, of course, it does have an impact. Again, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that over the long term, especially from my perspective, I'm more of a long term person. I'd rather pay attention to the fundamentals because, sure, prices will go up and down with spoofing, but if the overall trend is riding along with the metrics that I look at, which are, inflation, real
Right,
interest
right, right,
rates,
right.
gold, then
Yeah.
I feel comfortable holding on to silver because the other things that kind of come into the market aren't really knocking it off
Yeah.
course, if that makes any
So
sense.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. So do you think that silver will detach itself from gold or even let's say stock market volatility?
That's
And
really
when?
interesting. So the way I like to think about this is through what I like to call regimes. So we're currently living in a particular monetary regime that's way different than it was in pre 1970.
Mm.
So post 1970, we now have.
So that was only about a 2 minute clip of an hour-long interview. In 2 minutes, that was one of the questions. Imagine the entire hour-long interview, how many topics and questions I asked. Now I think you understand why I recommend you go check out the interview. And tomorrow, actually today, I keep saying that, today he's posting my interview. He interviewed me as well. So I think it's kind of cool how we both interviewed each other and I posted his, the responses he gave me and he's going to post the questions that he asked me on his channel today. So I highly recommend you go check that out as well if you want to hear some of the stuff that he asked me and my opinion. His link will be in the description. But anyways, I like his response. Shorter intervals. That makes a lot of sense, right? In the longer span, of course, the dollar index, supply and demand, the fundamentals will always outweigh, uh, price manipulation. But the smaller intervals can still be just as important. Remember that. Still be just as important. That's when people are entering or exiting. When we're looking at something that is gaining speculative pull, like precious metals, and once again, you can kick, scream, cry, whine all you want. It is trickling more into the precious metals world. It shouldn't be, because it should be based off of fundamental supply and demand, especially since it's tangible, right? It's something with intrinsic value. But regardless, it is, and that's because social media, right? Social media. Nowadays, people can get information everywhere. And not only that, you have other things like crypto that are betting against it. And there's actually another clip where TJ talks about how Bitcoin, gold, and silver all move in tandem, but silver does something a little different. Let me show that clip as well.
Crypto has added a huge, and this is something I actually like to look at in my own research. It's added a huge connection or relationship to the price of silver and the price of gold in different ways. So
Mhm.
for silver, what you find is, and I've looked at numbers going all the way back to 2014. and that's when you first have publicly available information for Bitcoin.
Crypto. Yeah.
But with Bitcoin and gold, I think a lot of people know, well, the correlation, which is interesting, is positive and strong. And if you look at the correlation between silver and Bitcoin, the relationship is positive and strong. However, when you put them into formulas with other metrics, so with if you want to look at the price of silver and you base it off of the price of Bitcoin, but then also base it off of where the dollar is, then also base it off of where interest rates are, then the strength of those relationships start competing with each other. And then the one
Wow.
that's a little bit stronger will actually, stronger and positive, will actually start to win out. And the other one may have a weaker relationship compared with those other metrics. So what happens is with gold is that you find that it's a inverse relationship. So as Bitcoin goes down, you tend to see gold go up. When silver goes down, interesting enough, you actually start to see, or I'm sorry, when Bitcoin goes down, you then start to see silver go down a little bit, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so, but what I do find is a lot of people know that once gold goes somewhere, soon silver follows along.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what that data is showing, or is basically showing, is, well, once gold goes somewhere first, after Bitcoin drops, and you might see silver drop, then soon after you'll start to see silver follow suit.
Now, once again, I think I don't even have to tell you anymore how important it is to go check out the interview. And like I said today, check out the interview that he does with me as well, because I do talk about some cool stuff. But I mean, wow, wow, like the way he broke that down, nobody, you're not going to get that information anywhere else. It's like the best of both worlds, because he's the numbers guy, fundamentals, and he gives an analysis, but it compares to other things besides just silver, breaking down the correlation between Bitcoin, silver, and gold, how silver actually moves with Bitcoin when it drops, but not so much gold, is a very interesting thing. And I do think there's a reason. It might be that silver's more volatile, it's a smaller market, so it can get pushed and pulled a little more than gold, but I still think it's deeper. Now, gold does simply have monetary value along with silver, but silver has this other aspect, the industrial side. And people can, in my opinion, manipulate, well, it's not an opinion, it's pretty much a fact, but there's no proof to this, but silver can, and I think people do manipulate the silver markets more so than gold because it is smaller. Imagine trying to manipulate gold. Gold is a much, much bigger market than silver. That's why silver's more volatile. That's why it's called the devil's metal. It's why it's called the riskier version of gold, because it hits higher highs and lower lows. If gold's going to rise 15%, silver's rising 20, 25. But also the opposite. If gold's going to drop 10%, silver's going to drop 15, 20. So that could be a part, but I do think the industrial aspect, like I asked him, silver taking on a life of its own is going to start happening more and more, simply because silver has other uses apart from gold, more beneficial. There's a reason why my name is Silver Slayer, not Gold Slayer. So, it's just when it comes to price manipulation, it does boil down to what affects the price the most. And like TJ said, it's going to be the dollar interest, the dollar index. It's going to be real interest rates. It's going to be supply and demand. Hopefully, and I actually covered a couple of articles, people are saying that soon manipulation won't have any time and place, because these other factors that are above manipulation will have too much pull, right? You won't be able to manipulate the price of silver for too much longer. So, like I said, it's always going to happen. Anywhere that there's money involved, there's going to be corrupt shadiness happening behind the scenes. But when it comes to precious metals, I think that is definitely one of the, I guess, least affected assets that can be manipulated. right? Stocks, yes, even crypto, but precious metals, since it's based off fundamental supply and demand, I definitely think we have one of the safer assets. That's why it's called safe haven. It's why it's called a safe haven investment, right? Because it's safe from manipulation, but it is happening, and we can either learn to adapt and adjust or just sit in the corner and cry. So, anyways, I just wanted to make this video to showcase that, especially with the amazing input and insight that TJ gave us. Like I said, go check out that interview. He's posting my interview today on his channel. The link's in the description. It is a premiered video, so it might be up by now. But if it's not, go hang out in the chat, or click the notification so you will get notified when the video goes live, because that's where I'm going to be answering questions that he asks me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought it was 1, educational, 2, informational, 3, at least entertaining, make sure to hit the like button, and let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about spoofing, about price rigging. Do you think that silver price is manipulated to a greater degree than we gave it credit? Or do you think a lesser? Or do you think we're about spot on? Very controversial, because it's all speculation, right? It's all a guess. Nobody can put an exact an exact ratio, or any type of exact number saying silver's price is manipulated 15% compared to, you can't do that. It's all speculative because we don't know the degree that it's happening behind the scenes. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.